Good day, I'm Justine, and in this video, I will share my thoughts on two different documentaries that revolves around a particular language policy and program. The first video is from Malaysia and the second one is from China. Language policy contributes to the growth of the field by publishing high-quality studies that help build a sound theoretical understanding of the subject area. It presents papers that deals with the widest range of cases, situations, and regions. Many countries have a language policy designed to encourage or discourage people to use a particular language or set of languages. Although nations historically have used language policies to promote a certain language at the expense of others, many countries now have policies designed to protect and promote regional as well as ethnic languages whose viability is threatened. Indeed, while the existence of linguistic minorities are actually threatened and it's actually within the jurisdiction, it has been often considered to be a potential threat to internal cohesion. States also understand that providing language rights to minorities may be more in their long-term interests as means of gaining citizens' trusts in central government. Language policy is what a government does either officially through legislation or decisions or policy to determine how languages are used, cultivate language skills needed to meet national priorities, or establish the rights of individuals or groups to use and maintain languages. Now, these policies are really important for us to actually promote our official language or our ethnic languages. The first documentary that we will be talking about is A Myriad of Voices, Linguistic Diversity and Vitality in Malaysia. Malaysia, home to over 28.3 million people, is one of the most culturally and linguistically diverse countries in Asia. And Malaysia has actually three dominant ethnic groups. These are the Malays, Chinese, and Indians. And it actually houses many native populations such as Orang Asli as well. While Malaysia's official language is Bahasa Malaysia, English, Mandarin Chinese, as well as Tamil are also spoken as dominant institutional languages. Additionally, with over 130 languages are spoken in Malaysia as well. Malaysia is an excellent attraction for both cultural lovers as well as linguists to explore. In this video, it was pointed out that although Malaysia is linguistically diverse as a country, there are certain languages that are mostly vital than the others. And of course, just like any other countries, there are actually languages that are going extinct in Malaysia. And of course, this phenomenon or this phenomena are actually a result of those language policies that are made in the country. Sarawak, where Grace is from, Grace is actually a participant in the documentary, is the largest state in Malaysia, located in the northwest region of Borneo Island. It has a population over 2.7 million and houses over 26 ethnic communities. They speak a plethora of languages such as Iban and Bidayu. The Chinese account for approximately 24% of the people, and the dominant languages spoken in this community are Hakka, Cantonese, and Hokkien. Malays take up another 24% of the population as well. Now, Silaku, the language that they use, otherwise known as Kindayan in Kalimantan, Indonesia, is a Malayic indigenous language spoken mainly on the Borneo Island. There are around 3,800 Silaku speakers, just like Grace's mother, in Sarawak. Now let's talk about Tamil. Tamil is Dravidian language spoken by the Tamil people of South Asia. While Tamil refers to the dominant proper Tamil, it is also a descriptor for a collective family that includes language of more than 30 other ethno-linguistic communities. Malayalam, which Farin, an interviewee, knows a bit of, is typologically closely related to Tamil. Now, according to Ethnologue, there are over 75 million native speakers of Tamil. Now, let's talk about English in Malaysia. English is the most widely used language worldwide, with almost 1.3 million speakers in total. Um, this is no surprise given that English language is colonial. And in fact, while Standard Malay has recently been listed as the official language of Malaysia, English as a former colonial language can be considered as the de facto second language, with over 60% of Malaysians being speakers of English. In Aisha's case, she identifies herself as a native speaker of English. She identifies her mother tongue as English and Malay as her second language. She noted that, as with most ethnic minority children who are actually raised abroad in an Anglophone country, it is likely that these children would also be more fluent in English than their ethnic language. Sabah is the second largest state in Malaysia, and it is actually home to over 3.9 million of people. Sabah's population is made up of 33 indigenous groups such as Kadasan Duzun, which makes up of 30% of Sabah's population, and the Rungus, Iranon, Bisaya, Tatana, and Blundayi. It is estimated that over 84% of the total population are Bumuputera. These are Malays and indigenous peoples of Malaysia. According to the Sabah state government official statistics, there are more than 50 languages and 80 ethnic dialects spoken in Sabah in 2020. Another interesting to note is that while Malay is widely spoken throughout the state, Sabahans tend to speak the Sabahan Bako dialect variety, otherwise known as Sabah Malay or Malay. According to the Straits Times, 80% of the 136 officially recognized languages in Malaysia are endangered. Ethnologue actually records similar numbers. There are 11 institutional, 5 developing, and 9 vigorous languages in Malaysia, and over 115 are endangered. This phenomenon could be attributed to a number of reasons, and the reasons provided are actually problems which are discussed in the video itself. First, standard national schools are regulated to use Malay, Chinese, or Tamil as mediums of instructions. As a result, vernacular schools with minority languages as mediums of instructions are rapidly closing down, and these are actually one of those downsides promoted by the language policy promoted by the government of Malaysia. Second, ethnic minorities' desire to move out of their traditions and assimilate. The problem of minority language preservation has long been a problem for Malaysian government, as it strives to strike a balance between solidifying Bahasa Malaysia as the national language and maintaining the vitality of minority languages. On one hand, the loss of minority languages will mean a loss of cultural resources. And for me, the need to strengthen Bahasa Malaysia's role as the national languages means that centralizing the use of the national language is inevitable. In response to the decay of minority languages, a lot of language preservation initiatives have been going on over the past decades. Language maintenance of ethnic languages is generally good despite the language shift from indigenous languages towards Standard Malay, English, and Mandarin Chinese in certain parts of Malaysia. NGOs have created writing systems, textbooks, and dictionaries for indigenous people or indigenous languages such as Iranon, Bidayu, and Tubilong. UNESCO has funded preschools taught in heritage tongues as well. The Malaysian government has launched the Pupils' Own Language Policy or POL to actually be counted language shift and encourage the maintenance of minority language through education. And for me, this is actually good. Launching these types of programs as well as policies actually bolsters awareness towards the importance of cultivating heritage and accepting our own minority languages. In the case of Malaysia, is very important for the next generation to actually still grasps that culture, that language that they have. And it is very important because these minority languages has been a part of their culture from long ago, and it is important for them to actually pass it on as long as they can. However, of course, I believe that these projects do not often go as planned. These do not actually proceed smoothly. And here are some problems that I have noticed. First is that the POL policy lacks effectiveness, as these classes are actually offered a few hours a week. And it lacks compulsory assessment and have insufficient students to actually form a class. Second, NGOs can only do so much. I mean, there is insufficient support from the government to actually help communities of minority languages to carry out language policies or planning. For example, the Dayak Bidayu National Association aims to actually develop and promote the Bidayu in Sarawak, but its effectiveness was low due to the lack of governmental support, and it is really evident in most parts of the country. Moreover, Bahasa Malaysia is the national language in Malaysia, which actually acts as a national symbol that raises a sense of national unity and maintains a sense of cultural value and identity. As the country is multicultural and multilingual, the use of Bahasa Malaysia, English, Mandarin, and Tamil invite questions and comparative vitality, which is actually a strength evaluation of language relative to other languages that coexist in linguistic spheres. The present study, via the indicators such as language use, dominance, and preference, language attitude and motivation, and language proficiency, aims to examine the vitality of these languages and to obtain comparative information about their connections to national and ethnic identity. Through the immersion, findings indicate that Bahasa Malaysia and English do not have high vitality, yet vernacular languages are rated as having high vitality. It actually suggests that ethnic languages dominantly shape ethnic identity and that they play an important role in students' lives as early as compared to Bahasa Malaysia, which has not gained strong hold. Thus, the sense of national identity appears to have taken a backseat. National aspiration in this aspect of nation building is still far from being realized if it is to be nurtured and expected to be developed at this stage of growth. Within a multilingual milieu, establishing national identity appears to be a complex issue, and language choice and use may have long term effects on molding the Malaysian national identity. Due to the previous British colonization, language contact in the local context is accentuated. The environment in the nation, be it in educational system or local speech communities, has environment or has made an environment which encourage bilingualism or multilingualism. The language syllabi in the school system has given recognition to the learning of two languages, which are English and Malay. In national schools, and the learning of three languages, English, Tamil, and Malay, in national type school. In this multilingual era, Malaysians in the early age are given selection and choices to use particular languages in various domains of use. As such, it is rather common to have Malaysians speaking at least three or more languages, bringing the attention to the English language despite its status as the second most important language in the nation, and it is actually known as the second language. The language is gradually slanted towards a foreign language more than a second language. Results actually show that English has lower vitality as compared to Malay language, Mandarin, and Tamil among primary school students as early as the stage of learning. Results point to the dominance of Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil among these Malaysian students in the language experience. However, these schools' children have early awareness that English plays a key part in terms of communication, financial gain, and prestige. Moreover, it is discovered that there is vitality difference in English language, and the vitality of English language in rural areas is lower than in urban areas. Results and findings revealed varied indications of importance and values attached to languages in different dimensions of the vitality of the English language in the defined context of use. China, like many other countries, has a state-implemented standard language, which implies a state of monolingualism, despite its largely multilingual population. The standard language in mainland China is Putonghua, which literally means common speech. It is actually a standardized Mandarin Chinese variety. The Chinese language policy in mainland China is heavily influenced by the Soviet nationalities policy and officially encourages the development of standardized spoken and written languages for each of the nationalities of China. Language is one of the features used for ethnic identifications. Children in China speak Mandarin and sometimes a local Chinese dialect at home. They then learn English in primary school, but parents often pay tutors to teach their children English, of course, outside of these schools. Currently, English is considered as one of the important languages in China. It is considered the language of business with international companies from every country in China. That is why it is really vital. The rapid development of international schools in China is particularly due to its function as a tool that helps middle class families to escape from social involution in Chinese education system and maintain their social status. Howbeit, one of its benefits is that it actually promotes English language, and these are one of the programs that the Chinese government has made to actually promote English. The English language has become so important in China because the country wants to successfully promote internationalism and keep the lines of communication open for trade and business matters. As one of the global powers, it is in the country's best interest to keep afloat of shifting trends in international matters. Having these international schools around, it is very important because it actually teaches the students or children in China to actually promote the use of English language, especially that China is actually a very rich country. It is focused on technology, business, and it is actually connected to a lot of countries. That is why it is very important for Chinese people to actually learn the what we call universal language. Through the documentary, I have noticed negative sides of Chinese international schools. First, very expensive school fees. One of the biggest disadvantages to studying at an international school is its expensive school fees. Parents will have to take into account the tuition fees, language support fees, activity fees, uniform fees, and other costs associated with sending your child to an international school. Parents in some cases may also not be able to take advantage of subsidized fees in local schools. Second, children may not learn the local language. Many international schools teach their curricula in English so that all students from different nationalities may connect and develop their English skills. However, this can mean that the students aren't as familiar with the local language and the culture of the country they are living in. Moreover, there is uncertainty after graduation. Once your child graduates from an international school, finding a job may be complicated. Your child will be well equipped with practical skills and academic knowledge to add value to any work environment. If they want to go abroad, they may have fewer connections to land their first job and have to learn to fit in with the new culture. Due to their experiences, mainly focused in interacting with diverse nationalities in international schools, they may have to fit into a more homogeneous culture when they choose to work in a local company. And lastly, children may have fewer local friends. While children may have a better understanding of a wide variety of cultures, nationalities, and language that allows them to learn and appreciate the differences in culture, they may actually also lose a lot of the experience in interacting with locals. This bubble might lead to children not understanding and appreciating the culture of the host nation they are living in. Over and above, scrutinizing these documentaries has made an impact and influence upon how I viewed language policies and programs. While a few of these may be beneficial, some may also be ineffective. Moreover, I saw that the impact of these policies and programs may differ. Personally, I believe that these might have different effects depending on a person's demographics as well as personal beliefs and perceptions. Consequently, some language policies may also be ineffective or effective in one country and the opposite in another. This only shows that there is no standard or perfect language policy or program. Language policies and program may vary depending on the situation of a certain country or place. It is designed differently depending on the goals as well as problems of a certain country.